Okay. Hello, everyone, guys. Hello, everyone. Good morning. How are you all? Good morning, everyone. My name is Afreen Azmat, and I welcome you all in today's session. So, today we are going to discuss Module A, Economic Reform. This is Unit 7, right? So, we are going to discuss the most important thing related to this chapter. Let's start discussing this chapter with the very first thing, economic reform. Now, economic reform is what? Economic reform refers to a government, it refers to a process in which a government specifies that, okay, there is something going wrong in the economy and the government is taking a step to revamp the things. The government are taking such policies and measures to actually what? To actually consider, to actually what? To actually uh, help us in the expanding role of the private sector, then it is known as economic reform. See, economic reform is the process of identifying whatever is going wrong in the economy and taking measures to correct that wrong state. That is known as economic reform. When we talk about the economic reform, in India, the economic reforms, the new economic policy has been introduced in 1991. There were many reasons which has been identified at that time during 1991. Before 1991, because we have a very restrictive policies before 1991, because we have very restrictive policy, we have a lot of things going on at that time. We have a financial crunch in the whole country at that time, and so to overcome from all this, the government of India has introduced the 1991 new economic policy, or which is also known as LPG policy, that is liberalization, privatization and globalization policy. The main person behind this policy was Dr. Manmohan Singh. Dr. Manmohan Singh has introduced the LPG policy, and PV Narasimha Rao helped him to implement this to the whole economy, right? So, let's discuss about the LPG policy. First of all, if we talk about the LPG, liberalization, privatization, and globalization. First is liberalization. Liberalization, the word liberalization has actually from liberal. Liberal means freedom. Now, what is a liberalization? Liberalization refers to the process in which the unnecessary restriction that has been imposed in the industrial sector before 1991, that unnecessary restriction, to remove that unnecessary restriction, so as private sectors and the different people will enter into the industrial sector, that it is known as liberalization. Liberalization means what? Liberalization means removal of the unnecessary restriction that has been imposed in the industrial sector before 1991. That is known as liberalization. Okay. Now, what is privatization? Privatization means when you are allowing private sector into government dominated area, when the government has the monopoly in the resources, to reduce the monopoly of the government and to introduce private sector into the same sector, so as the government and private, they both together work in the economy, then it is known as privatization. Okay. And globalization means what? Globalization refers to integration of various economies of the world. Globalization we have discussed in detail in the last unit, okay, unit 6. Okay, so liberalization, privatization and globalization, these were the three economic reform that has been introduced or recommended in the LPG policy, or in the 1991 economic policy. Again, I am telling you what is liberalization. Liberalization means removal of the restrictions in the industrial sector, whatever the restriction that have in the industrial sector, to remove the restriction in the industrial sector so as private and public they both together work in the economy, then it is known as the liberalization. Privatization means the private sector giving entry to private sector. Okay, privatization is not that we are converting the government sector into private sector. No, privatization says that you just have to give entry to the private sector so as private and public they both together work in the economy, then it is known as privatization. And globalization, you know that what is globalization? Globalization means integration of various economies of the world. When you are taking such a step which actually helps in the integration of various economies in the world, then it is known as globalization, right? Next, now if we talk about the very important thing, that is Narasimha committee. See, Narasimha committee has two phases, phase 1 and phase 2. Narasimha committee introduced different reforms in the banking sector. It is very, very important for all of you. So Narasimha committee first phase 1 has been introduced in 1992. And what are the important steps and changes that has been recommended in Narasimha committee phase 1? First, you have to maintain a capital adequacy norm. You have to reduce the CRR and SLR. You have to deregulate the lending rates. You have a debt recovery tribunal. You should give entry to the new private banks. You must merge and amalgamate. So these are some of the reforms that has been introduced in 1992. In 1992, Narasimha committee phase 1 has been introduced in the banking sector. These recommended some most important changes in the banking sector reform. So what are these most important changes? First of all, you should maintain a capital adequacy norm. Second, you should have reduce your CRR and SLR, cash reserve ratio and statutory liquidity ratio. You should have a debt recovery tribunal. You should give entry to the new private sector bank. You should merge and amalgamate with each other. These are the few reforms that has been introduced in 1990. Right now, there was phase 2. Okay, phase 2 of Narasimha committee that has been introduced in 1998. These two phases are very important. So 1998, the government has set up again a committee on banking sector reform under the chairmanship of M. Narasimha. Right now, there was different reforms. Like first, there was prudential reforms. Prudential reforms means that the banking system in India should follow the same international best practices which are actually followed globally, so as to reduce the risk in the banking sector. So to align our Indian banks with the international best practices, right? So you have to take care of that. You should have such uh, practices, rules, and you should follow such international practices which is actually lowering the risk of banking sector. Right now, supervisory reform. Now there are different supervisory reform. First, the camels has been introduced, very important. Camels, the full form is capital adequacy. C is capital adequacy, A is asset quality, M is management, E is earning, and L is liquidity. Very important. Camel is very important. Prudential reforms are very important. Okay, now insurance sector reform. Yes, insurance sector reform, there are different reforms that has been introduced in the insurance sector as well. So insurance development regulatory authority of India, that has been introduced as the regulatory reforms in the insurance sector. So to look out and for acting in the best interest of the investors in the insurance sector, IRDAI, Insurance Regulatory and Development Agency, has been introduced to govern and oversee the insurance industry. Okay, and the insurance sectors are then opened for the foreign capital participation also. So FDIs were also allowed in the insurance sector at that Clear? So this is the insurance sector reform. Now let us discuss some of the important practice questions. So very first and the important question is, which is not a part of supervisory reform, camel? Everyone, you can all answer this question very easy. So supervisory reform, this is actually introduced in phase second of Narsimha Committee on Banking Sector Reform 1998. So which is not a part of supervisory reform. Camel, okay, capital adequacy, asset quality, merger, earnings and liquidity. So you have to answer this question, everyone. Please answer this question, guys, everyone. So, if we talk about camels, capital adequacy, asset quality, management, earnings, liquidity. Okay, so this is the camel. So, capital adequacy, asset quality, merger is not the reform because it is actually management, right? And earnings and liquidity. Clear? Okay, next. Okay. Narsimha Committee on Financial Sector Reform is related to which sector? Again, a very easy question. Everyone, a very easy question. Narsimha Committee on Financial Sector Reforms is related to which sector? Insurance, banking, capital market or money market? So the correct answer is what? Banking. Okay, Narsimha Committee, two phases, 1992 and 1998. Clear? Done? Okay. So this is it. Now, if you want to download the PDF of this complete class, you can download it free of cost. How you can download it? You just have to download the Oliveboard app. Just open the JAIIB and CAIIB category, and in the bottom you will see the course section. When you click in the course section, you will get YouTube class PDF. Okay, and this is free of cost. You can just download the app and download the PDF free of cost from this Oliveboard app, right? Now, if you want to learn the complete chapter, everything in detail, you can just enroll in the JAIIB Super Elite batch, okay? So this is a JAIIB Super Elite batch all in one plan. On in this plan, you need not to purchase each and every individual batch. Everything, the whole coverage of JAIIB will be given you under this JAIIB Super Elite all in one plan. You will get live class, mock tests, everything. Every upcoming classes and every upcoming batch also you will get in JAIIB Super Elite subscription, right? Now, there is a flat 49% off that is going on the JAIIB subscription if you use this code FEST. Okay, if you use this code FEST, you will get flat 49% off on the JAIIB and CAIIB category. Okay, so thank you so much, everyone. If you have liked the video, just please like, share, and subscribe the channel. And if you haven't subscribed the channel yet, please subscribe the channel and press the bell notification icon. Okay, so thank you so much, everyone, for joining this session. Take care. Bye bye. Bye, everyone. Take care, guys. Bye.